So this is the first Ninja Turtles figure that we're looking at from Neca. Clearly a very different design style to what we're used to with Playmates. Neca have got a large collection of Ninja Turtles figures, and this is my first foray into it. Huge fan of the comics. Does this figure live up to it? Let's find out now. Hi everyone, Chris here. And yeah, today we're taking a look at the title character from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Last Ronin comic. This is a Neca figure as opposed to a Playmates Ninja Turtles figure. And there are quite a wide range of Neca Ninja Turtles figures out there. I'm actually staring at the 4 movie Turtles that I really need to start reviewing very soon. So this has ended up being my first Neca Ninja Turtles figure to look at. And as I say, the character that we're looking at here is the title character, the Last Ronin, from the Last Ronin comic. And for anyone that hasn't read the comics, I'm not going to spoil it for you. I'm not going to go into detail about which turtle this might be. But if you haven't read the comic, go and do it because it's awesome. If you're not aware, it's a 5-issue miniseries from IDW, and it's actually written by Ninja Turtles co-creator Kevin Eastman, along with Tom Waltz. And it's actually based on an original story that was pitched by Eastman and co-creator Peter Laird back when they were originally making these comics. And it's kind of considered a bit of a spiritual sort of successor to those original comics, somewhat. It's published by IDW, but it doesn't follow. If you read IDW Ninja Turtles comics, it doesn't follow that timeline. This is sort of set in its own timeline. I think it's recently been called the Roninverse. I'm not really sure on that. But excellent story. You know, it's set in the future, and the last remaining Ninja Turtle needs to take on the grandchild of Shredder. Awesome. Yeah, loved it. Really good. Quite touching ending as well. I really do recommend the comic. If you're into comics and you haven't read it, go and do it. But today, yeah, let's get stuck into this figure because I cannot wait. I'm a big fan of Neca figures. If you've seen any of my other reviews, we've been going through the Back to the Future range recently, and I'm really pleased with the level of detail that Neca puts in their figures. So let's start by have a quick look at the box here on this. So the front of the box has a really nice artist-drawn image of the Last Ronin on there, and this is sort of reminiscent of that IDW art style as well. It's almost like it's taken from a page in the comics. And on one side, there is another sort of comic-accurate image. On the other side, we have an alternate image there as well, all very similar to what you would see in the IDW. And then on the back, we have a number of images of the figure with various accessories attached, and a little breakdown of the character, a little bit of a story breakdown there as well. Love the box though, love the artwork and the art style. The black and red's fantastic. Let's take a quick look inside. I'm a big fan of these Neca boxes and the lid opening on them to get a good look at the figure and the sort of paint job that you're going to buy as well. I like being able to see what the paint job on particularly the face looks like before I buy the figure. Good picture on the inside as well. So yeah, let's get this figure out and have a look. See what we think of him. Already straight off the back, he looks really big, really bulky. Obviously a different style to the Ninja Turtles that Neca tend to release. Really bulky almost. It's really substantial figure. It's got some weight to it. But I love the armor on this. It's like it's ripped straight from the page. And the colour detailing on it is fantastic. Some of the fabric detail on here as well. The markings that you can see on his shoulder pads. These muddied shoulder pads. And the mottling on the grey fabric. The marking on his wrist armour. It's all really high detail, real attention to detail that Neca have gone into with this. You really can get a feeling of a number of different materials across his body. You know, the styles that he's wearing, they clash in some respects, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it creates a real lived-in look to the figure. I love the you can see the different gaps on the belt for him to fit his weapons into, and you've got 2 on the back there for the katana and the bow staff. Yeah, I'm loving these shoulder pads. I think they look awesome. And on the back here as well, exactly the same level of detail that you see on the front. Very, very impressive. Really like the look of this. Considering how bulky he is though, I wonder what he's going to be like for articulation. It looks to me like potentially not great, but let's find. Oh my goodness me. That is so tough. Yeah, this will need a lot of warming up if you want to get him into some decent poses. I'm sure it will, though, over time. Not a great T-pose, though. You know, that doesn't work great. There is a double joint in the elbow, so that's nice. Get him into a few different poses there. But it is a little disappointing that it's hard to get those shoulders any higher. Decent wrist twist as well. There is also a double joint in the knee. If I can ever get it to move, there we go. So you can see there a double joint in the knee as well. Oof, God, let's see if we can get that back. Okay, and there is decent twist in the ankles as well, but no toe joint on this figure. But yeah, reasonable ankle movement on that. Oh, that's not too bad. That moves fairly freely. And then moving back up, let's have a look at head articulation. Oh, okay. It's even more difficult to move the head with the hood on there. Yeah, he's got a full exorcist head movement, but not really any up or down movement on this head. And definitely no ab crunch on this figure. Let's have a quick look at the accessories that come with this figure now as well. So we're going to start with Leonardo's katana blade. My goodness, look at the detail on that. I mean, it is plastic, but it really does look like a real, small metal sword. So impressive. The detail on that hilt, especially. I'm super impressed with that. Very, very well made. And it also comes with a nice scabbard as well, unless it's a different name for a katana. I don't know. But yeah, the storage scabbard for the sword there, it fits in nicely and doesn't slip out of it either. It's nice and snug in that. So that will fit onto the back of this turtle's armour. And now we're looking at a sai as well. Exactly the same as the katana. It feels real to a certain extent. Again, I love the sort of rough wrapping of leather around the hilt on this. Very, very well detailed and looks fantastic. A single sai and a single katana come with this. They're not double items on this figure. And then we take a look at the bow staff. I had no complaints on this either. Very realistic wood effect, and the same with the sort of leather wrapping that we've been put around the middle of that bow staff. Love that. And finally, with the 4 Ninja Turtle weapons, we're looking at one of the nunchucks there. And kind of a functioning nunchuck to a certain extent. I'm really impressed with that, as opposed to what I'm used to with the Playmates, which is just sort of a single piece of plastic that bends slightly. The level of detail on here to get the individual chain links together, it looks fantastic. So impressed with that. But there are a lot of other weapons that come with this, so we will go into those, but we're going to start looking at some of the other accessories. So we're looking at an alternate head here. So this is a more openly angry head with a spare sort of flowing mask tie at the back. And that is so that if you are not wearing the hood on the back there, and it does come with 2 separate ones. So we've got sort of an action pose and a mask that can sort of flap down onto the shoulders as if he's standing still. As well as that, we do have various additional hands here. So we have sort of open hands on this one. I love the 3-finger design, looks incredible, and the sort of dirty grey gloves that the turtle is wearing. And then we also have closed hands here. Not quite punching hands, although they could be used for that. But excellent if you want to pose the sai in one of those, or gripping. They're really good gripping hands for gripping the bow staff, gripping the sword hilt. Really functional hands, those ones. So they're good ones to have. As well as that, we also have the glasses that he is wearing. You'll have seen them in one of the images on the side of the box, but he does wear them quite a lot in the comics as well. So they're really nice. And that we also have another melee weapon, like a truncheon type weapon. I'm sorry, I don't know what the official name is for this. But again, the metal effect on this, whereas being a lot more dull than the weapons that we've seen already, still really effective, really dirty, well-used weapon here, clearly. But no, again, the metal on it is really effective. As well as that, we have one of these sort of grenades that he uses. That's a nice look to it as well. Quite a small accessory. We do have some ninja stars as well. They look pretty good as well. I'm not too angry with that. For some reason, I got an extra one in my box as well, stuck to some sellotape, so I'm not complaining. And then we also have this grapple that's tied to a piece of twine here as well. I like it, but I don't really see anywhere for this to fit onto the figure. So I think really it's probably going to be used when you're posing this figure in some way. But that's everything that comes with it. So let's get him out on display. Let's put him into some poses and take a real look. Very, very impressed with this figure. So I've got him up here. I wanted to put all 4 of the original Ninja Turtle weapons sort of, on his body so that we can see that all 4 of them can be stored in various places. So you've got the sai on the front, and then you've got the bow staff, the katana blade, and the nunchuck on the back. And he's holding that melee truncheon weapon in his hand, as you see on the front cover of the box as well. But really, really impressed with this. It's such a clean figure, and like I said before, it just looks like it's jumped right off of the page. The level of detail in the snarl that this turtle is giving, the anger that he shows in that comic book, the thirst for revenge that he is after, you can see that in his face. And the markings, I love all of the markings and the wrinkles on his face and how they're all outlined in black. Everything on this figure has just got that slightly surreal comic book look to it. So, and I know that a 6-foot turtle is not realistic, but it gives it that almost cel-shaded look that Neca have kind of continued with a lot of their newer Ninja Turtle ranges to varying degrees. But we have seen with the figures that they're pulling from Eastman and Laird comic books that they're more in this style, and only really vary from that if they're creating the 80s cartoon version or the 90s movie versions. This seems to be quite a common style that they're using for these figures. No complaints there. And we're looking at a version of him now with the hood off. So we've got that additional mask tie added to the back of his head here. And we have the Ronin out with 2 of the Ninja Turtles weapons. So you can see how well that sai looks in hand. And the katana blade is out as well. So it's ridiculous how poseable this figure is. I'm so impressed with the level of detail that have been put into the design. I can't get over how realistic the armor he's wearing is. The shine on this sort of leather look grey material, all of the creases, it just lends to a really, really impressive looking figure. But I love those weapons. I love the mask. I love this additional face that we've got here as well. So the face sculpt's slightly different with that open, screaming mouth on there. He's ready to charge into battle. Yeah, absolutely fantastic. Love it. And then as well as that, we've got another version of the figure using the other outstretched hand and holding onto the bow staff here as well. So the Ronin is standing and assessing his options by the looks of things. But yeah, I mean, there's just so many options with this figure. Just, you can't move his arms too high at the moment. I will have to try and give that a lot more of a warming to see if the T-pose can be put any higher. But no, I have no complaints with that. And then lastly, we've also got to look at him with the nunchuck out as well, and how that dangles and freely moves, as it's rocking backwards and forwards, gives it a real kinetic sort of energy. There's so much movement in this figure, even when it's standing still. And I've put the goggles onto the hooded face sculpt as well. It really, really tough to get these goggles to stay on, actually. They've got a real elastic strap to them. But as it's very, very much a dome-shaped head, that strapping keeps trying to work its way up. So you do have to try and sort of put the hood on and get the hood to hold that elastic strapping in place. So I'm not a massive fan of the usability of the goggles, but they look good when they're on. I actually have no real complaints with this figure, other than potentially the stiff posability. I think he's so effective. I cannot wait to have him on my shelf with my Playmates Turtles and with the Neca movie Turtles as well. I think it's just going to be so impressive. So yeah, I really urge you to go out and get this if you can. There are 2 versions of this particular figure. So we have the armoured and unarmoured version of the Last Ronin. And there are various other figures that are available from this series of comics as well. And I'm sure that there will be more to come in the future. But that's it from me. Please jump into the comments and let me know what you think of this Last Ronin figure. Have you read the comics? What did you think? Did you cry at the end? I thought I might. Just let me know what you think of this. It would be really great to hear. And if you've enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a like as well, because that is hugely helpful getting my video out and the algorithm looking favourably on it. And also please consider subscribing to my channel for more news and reviews. As I say, we've got 4 more Neca Ninja Turtle figures coming up. I'll probably do them in a single video. And we've got some other McFarlane Toys Batman figures and some Black Series figures to come as well. along with more Marvel and loads of my Ghostbusters collection to dive into as well. I really need to get stuck into that. So yeah, please come join me on this journey. I'd love to have you here in this community. But regardless, thank you so much for joining me today. And if you're interested in Ninja Turtles figures, why not check out this video next? Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you all take care. Bye-bye for now.